This is my Lego comic book shop, my first ever modular building that is compatible with all other modular buildings, and today I wanted to give you a tour of the build. I have been working on this project for months and I've literally been rendering Bricklink Studio images for the past 3 days up until I'm putting out this video right now. So if you enjoyed today's video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing for more builds like this. Also, if this video can hit 2,000 likes by the end of February, I will drop the instructions for this thing for free. Anyway, a while back I made a video talking about what modular buildings they should add to our Lego cities, and a comic book shop was one of them. So I took it upon myself to design one how I wanted it. As you can see, this build is 2 stories and it has quite a few subtle design features that once put all together make it seem like a retro-futuristic building from the 50s or the 60s. As a whole, I wanted this building to represent a spaceship with superhero design elements. And how I did that is the combination of a giant octagon window downstairs and the smaller octagon accent windows upstairs. In addition to the space-like windows, I added a blue back wall within the comic book store to give the red octagon exterior a blue accent within. This was to give the illusion that the building was wearing a superhero suit like Superman's with the blue and red aesthetic. This is also why the N in CNG is red with a yellow background, as if the N is the symbol on its chest. And speaking of the N, yes, I named the shop CNG, which stands for Comics and Games, similar to Steak and Shake or Mac and Cheese. Also, I didn't do this on purpose, but once the signs are on the building, it kind of looks like eyes that are looking off to the left. And once you see it, I feel like you can't unsee it. The last thing on the front of the building that I'll point out are these 2 lines of dark red tiles. They're offset in order to give the jagged look and also bring out the true color of the building. The entire building is made up of dark red bricks because most comic book shops in my city often move into older buildings since they're independent businesses that can't initially afford their own building. So I wanted this build to seem as if the owners had added a front fascia to a pre-existing building. To further hammer in the vintage building idea, I built the roof to resemble an older tin roof with seams to resemble the roofs that go on top of retro American diners. And while we're on the roof, I'll show you the AC mock, which I didn't design myself, but instead was heavily inspired by this picture I found on Google. And returning down to ground level, there are a couple more details to add some realism, which are the street light that's in the same place as other modular buildings to keep uniformity within cities. There's also a flower pot and this yellow fire hydrant. And all 3 of these builds rest on a sidewalk that matches the rest of your Lego city's sidewalks. And before we move inside, I'll show you the other sides of the building, which have nothing special other than occasional patches of bricks to add some texture to otherwise boring walls. On the back of the building, however, is an emergency exit with a small balcony and a drop-down ladder. There's also a couple of cats in the alleyway since the museum seems to have a mice problem, and who doesn't love some crime-fighting cats? But now that we've covered the entire exterior, we can move to the interior. Obviously, the building is 2 stories, but the first floor is the only floor dedicated to the comic book shop. The second floor is the same business but has a separate theme and purpose, which I'll reveal after we explore the downstairs. We'll start the downstairs tour by first approaching the front door. I absolutely love the front door from the Lego Diner modular building, so I did a similar build here with the clear door surrounded by glass pillars. The 1x1 clear bricks kind of remind me of the iconic 80s glass ice blocks, which I adore, so I just had to replicate them for my front door. Directly inside the front door, you are immediately greeted by 2 displays, one being a newspaper stand and the other being a game controller rack, and I would definitely take note of this gaming controller rack. To the left of those is a cashier counter and a cash register. On the counter is a little dial pad, which would be a card reader, the actual cash register, and over the cash register is an old school transaction display. Behind the employee counter is a collage of items both for sale and for the employee. All the way to the right is a thermometer, a checklist, and an unopened or unsent letter. To the left of those are 4 posters for customers to buy, and to the left of those are 2 shelf builds made with brackets and tiles to represent packs of cards. By the way, these packs of cards are something else to take note of. Continuing to move left on the wall, I'll go ahead and show you our first display of comics. This crate of comics is made by placing 2x3 tiles into a Lego crate. Now, before we go any further, I want to admit I understand the Lego Simpsons comic book guy comes with a comic book and it's a 2x2 tile. I personally do not like this. I believe a 2x2 tile should be an album, if anything. And to further back up my claim, let me remind everyone that Lego books are 2x3. So with that, I'm making comic books in my store 2x3 tiles, and if it makes you feel any better, that could mean the 2x2 tile comic book that comes with the Lego Simpsons comic book guide can be a limited edition series run comic book in the Lego world. Now, with that out of the way, we can look above these comics and see a little electrical sign, because I wanted this crate of comics to be employee and enthusiast picks, the comic books with the most buzz around them. Then in front of this crate of comics is 4 more crates of comics, built exactly the same, representing random issues of comics that they have in stock in comic book sleeves. If we move in front of these to the front of the store, we have a display table with items for sale that are here to be seen by people walking by that huge front window. Also taking advantage of the window real estate is this toy/collectible shelving unit that has some collectible items and toys for us adult geeks. On here, you'll find lasers, toy cars, lightsabers, action figures, and a few other items to give some variation and diversity. And while we're on the subject of collectibles, behind the open rack is a glass display case with the more rare and expensive items for sale inside. Heading back over past the open toy rack, on the wall is the rack that has all the new issues of comics. These are all multicolored instead of white, since these comics are not supposed to be in protective sleeves so that people can interact with them easier. Finally, next to the comics are the last items on display for sale, which are a couple of swords that are definitely replica collector items from comic books if they're being sold in here. But now I can say the tour of everything downstairs that's visible is complete. It's time now to show you the non-visible part of downstairs, which is this hidden bathroom underneath the stairs. This will definitely come in handy for the people spending time upstairs, wink wink, nudge nudge. And while we're on the topic of upstairs, let's go to the stairs. Over here are 2 posters on the wall which would not be for sale but are here as novelty for the shop. And finally, this beautiful staircase, which is inspired by this build I found on Google Images, is one of my favorite details of the whole build due to the bathroom fitting perfectly underneath. Now it's time to go upstairs and see where the games comes from comics and games. Upstairs is a fully built gaming suite, or what I like to call the gaming dungeon. Complete with a gaming table for board games and 4 gaming PCs, this upstairs unit is for the gamers. Customers who want to rent out the room and play any game with perfect connection and graphics on the PCs can do so, as well as any people who want to rent out the table for extra room when they play Dungeons and Dragons. This can also be a location for gaming tournaments for both PC games and physical board games for the comic book shop below. Once you've bought your fresh pack of Magic the Gathering cards from downstairs, you and some friends can come right upstairs to play with friends and meet new people. Or let's say you and your arch enemy need to have a 1v1 quickscope, no scope 360 match. You can do that in a fair setting right here, no cheats and no connection biases. And speaking of connection, we'll start the upstairs tour by pointing out this thing on the wall right here. It's a simple build, but this is my Wi-Fi router. Meant to look like those crazy spider-looking routers that are $1,000 and I'm sure give you unrivaled speeds. And connected to this router are the gaming PCs. A closer look at this PC desk build will reveal that it consists of a PC with a unique color, a matching mouse, a keyboard, and a screen, which are all resting on white desks that have blue legs. Not only do all the PCs have their own unique colors, but they also have their own unique colored cases. This is one of those details I'm really proud of because I feel like the LED colors match the color case in which they're in, and I just love all the diverse colors of the PCs. Then we have the gaming chair that I've designed to accompany the desk. These are also dressed in blue to match the legs on the desks and the color themes downstairs. You'll also notice that the legs have sideways round 1x1 studs to resemble wheels, which is why there's one singular 1x1 underneath one of those legs to mount them all to the studs on the floor. And the last thing to mention over here is this door, which leads to that fire escape on the back. Next to the door, though, is a detail I don't know if I'm going to keep, and that is a mini fridge. If you plan on using the game room all night, you can have your Monsters or your Red Bulls in your mini fridge staying cold. But it does take up a lot of the floor space, so I'm not totally sold on this yet. The other side of the room is a lot more analog, with the main attraction being this 6-player game table, which admittedly probably could fit more than 6 Lego minifigs, if there was more than 6 seats. On the wall next to the table, though, are a couple of cool things. There's a whiteboard for people who want to keep track of games if they have to leave, or to help keep score within the sessions. Next to that is a little wall-mounted marker holder, and next to that is a wall-mounted TV with a DVD player or streaming device, whatever you want, below that on a mini table that matches those desks. But this leads us to the final detail that I have to share with you, which is my interchangeable wall art. Mounted above the stairs in view for people upstairs is a 4x6 tile picture. This one is rocking my original design to loosely look like a dinosaur. Hopefully you see it. But if you aren't feeling the abstract dinosaur, or if you don't see it, I also included this design, which is supposed to look like a planet in space. But that concludes the entire tour of the build. Leave a comment and let me know what you guys think. Do you like what I've come up with? But I'll see you guys next time. Peace.